Staying on St. Thomas, it's the controversial communication tower that's still a hot topic with residents. The communication tower ensures 911 service to the island, yet some people find it unsightly. Here's News Channel 8 correspondent Lee Carl giving us an update on that story.
This is a site I've been here before when there were West End residents were protesting a gas station. Remember that with Sherry Myers? Well, today the governor was here, Clifford Graham of Housing, Parks and Recreation, the Hugh Roy Thomas of the people who are putting up the tower. And the protest, of course, is bluntly the fact that the West End residents don't want a 110-foot tower next to the fire station and the police station. That is a tower that apparently is be put up without their permission, without a hearing. Now, let's get it in perspective as I talked to Sherry Myers first. She was the sort of spark plug and the host here as the crowd gathered around the fire station, and this is what happened. Sherry, this was a very interesting, exciting meeting. The governor was here, Clifford Graham, attorneys, good turnout, and by and large, what do you believe came from this meeting?
Well, Lee, what I believe came today is we had discussions back and forth between the residents of the West End and the government of the Virgin Islands, the developer and Housing Finance Authority. What happened here today is the government gave us a commitment that they would not put in a 911 on the tower that is intended to go up. However, that is not enough. We still have to look at the issue of the tower and the lease being leased out to Royal Systems, which is the developer, and we have to now meet with the VI Housing Finance Authority Board to try to attempt to get this lease rescinded and the land being put back to the people for the intended purpose, which is our multi-purpose center, our community center, and other things that the community could use.
To put it in better perspective, the tower is right next to what was a community center, police, fire, and it would seem like it'd be the right spot. But what is the problem?
Well, the problem is the type of tower that is going up here, the tripod tower, which is a commercial tower, that will be 100+ feet in the air.
Cell phone
companies, internet, whatever you call it. We do not have the capacity here for the property. It's for our community use, which is the multi-purpose center, like I said. And these towers are not supposed to be erected in the middle of neighborhoods adjacent to buildings. They need to have a proper setback. And so this site is definitely not the proper site to put something of such magnitude.
You pressed the governor pretty hard on whether he would rescind the order. He said he doesn't have the authority to do that.
Well, the governor, like everyone knows, appoints the boards, and I think that as our elected official, we are, dependent on him to get more involved and to have some sort of conversation with them to let them know the message that the people sent through him today to the board. The lease was also violated by the developer that started to build without permits, and we're asking them to look at cause, look at the reason why, and also look at the history of what the land was promised for to the people that purchased these lands. This land was promised to us over 15 years ago, and so this lease that was just leased out and put into effect 2 months ago should be rescinded, and this should do right by the people of the West End.
Well, you certainly had a good turnout today, and I congratulate you on your hard work on this. I hope everything turns out all right.
And I hope so, and I want to thank all the residents that came out and all the St. Thomas residents that are not from the West End that came out to support this effort, and I'm hoping that we, at the end of the day, we could put this to closure and we could move on.
John DeYoung was here, and he was peppered with heavy questions and attempted to answer them. And so I spoke to him specifically about that. A quick comment on the meeting here at Bordeaux first, at Fortuna Bordeaux, and your feelings at this moment.
Well, I think most importantly, the community expressed their concern on a very important issue. The West End Alliance is a very active group of members that are concerned about where their community is going and what's going on. And the issue that brought us together today had to do with the construction of a cellular tower and several misrepresentations with respect to the government's involvement. I wanted to clear that up, but the most important part of it is I wanted to give the community assurance that we're moving forward with the 911, and our priority is to address 911 coverage on the West End of St. Thomas and make sure that it is adequate. And in order to do that, we needed to look at various options. At one time, we were looking at an option that involved leasing space from a private company, Royal Systems. We've looked at some other options, and we decided we no longer have to go that route. And I wanted the community to know that. Their other concern had to do with whether we could break a lease between Royal and Housing Finance Authority. And I told them that is something that has to be addressed by the board. And I'm willing to work with the board, the executive director, and with Royal Systems to see if there's an alternative.
Because as governor, you couldn't do it.
Because as governor, I don't have the authority to arbitrarily and unilaterally break a lease. However, I do have the authority to work with them and encourage them. And clearly the community does not want that tower in this area. There are other things they want to do with the land, and I'm supportive of us looking for alternatives that can best meet the needs of everybody.
And of course, it goes without saying, the person I should really talk to would be you, Roy Thomas, his company Royal LLC with his partner are erecting this tower and a contract with the government. And so Roy, explain what his position is. Roy, what's the big problem?
Well, the big problem obviously is that they don't want a tower into the community, and particularly because she's saying the land was promised to her. But in fact, the land was given to us even before Governor Dion came in office. It was given to us from 205.
There was a contract signed, right?
There was a contract signed that was executed in September of 208. But the board authorized us. The Housing Finance Authority board authorized us the lease from in 205.
What will the tower do? It was to be 911, and it was to be cell phones, and what else?
Well, as part of the condition of the lease from the Housing Finance Authority board, it basically required that we were to provide free space for the emergency first responders agencies. So subsequently, it was to be used for that purpose, and also for in terms of for us, it was to be used for the PCS companies or the cellular companies. So that was the real intent of the use of the tower.
And 911 was one of the first responders.
Yes, and 911 was the first responders, and that was a condition of the lease, that we provide free space to these government agencies.
So now it looks like 911 will not be in the picture. Will you still go ahead? What's the story? What are you thinking?
Well, as I said, we're going to go back and look at our options and then move forward, because right now, as it is, we have a valid lease.
Mm-hmm. And you have the equipment here already, right?
And we have the equipment here, exactly.
How big was the tower to be?
Well, this temporary monopole is only 100 feet. At least we were going to put up 100 feet of it.
So you have a partner. That's who?
My partner is Leo Barbell.
Leo Barbell. Okay. And is this in any way tied into your operation up at Flag Hill?
Well, yeah, of course, because it's another site that we are adding for the purpose of
relaying
our Flag Hill network, into this area.
So you're not discouraged, are you? Eventually going to continue to move on, right?
Well, no, I am not discouraged. No, I'm not.
You're right. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Stay in there.
All right.
Hang in. In St. Thomas, Lee Carl for News Channel 8.
Stay with us on News Channel 8. When we come back, news about the government employee retirement system.